oh, this is good. This had to do with something that Dr. England said this week. He was obviously criticizing the people who are trying to control the economies, the world economy, top down. You know, a managed economy. So I had pointed out last week that Yosef is the opposite of Moshe Rabbeinu, and Yosef represents top-down central planning, economic control. Did you see the list?
I didn't see it.
Okay, so you have to catch up on that. So one of the things is that why did Yosef construct this whole system of top-down, control, central planning and economic control? What was the reason for doing so? To stave off starvation. Well, you need something? Okay. They're trying to prevent starvation. Why? Because the Pharaoh had been given a very clear sign from God that there's going to be 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. And it's Maher Hashem la'asothatho, ha Elohim, Maher Elohim la'asothatho. It's about to happen. So you have to get ready. You have to do something about this and save up a lot of food. Okay, but the thing is, his economic control, which is, by the way, the type of thing that you and I now recognize as bad, it's being conducted basically by the closest real life equivalent to movie supervillains, right? Those are the people who are gathering in Switzerland to doing this. Everything. As a matter of fact, people who are more humorous than me and more aware of these things have pointed out that the main supervillain is born in Nazi Germany and has a German accent. And lo and behold, is just trying to try all the wrong ideas from the 20th century just again. The socialism and all those other things. This communism by another name, and this time it's not going to result in everybody dying. It's actually going to work this time. Okay, so you have these people who are basically everything about them is bad, and it's so clear that even children can realize that these people are evil. And Yosef himself did this type of thing. But I don't think he was trying to be evil. The problem is that what didn't evolve right away? Well, heavy taxation, incredibly high taxation. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to cap the taxation at what? 10%. And how much was Yosef taxing the people? 20%, a fifth. And then he's selling it back to them. Wait a minute, but we paid this taxes, Yosef. Where do you save and stuff for the people? No, the government took 20% of your crops as taxes all these years. But now if you want to eat from those, it's not the government's going to give it back. You pay taxes, at least you think, well, you pay taxes so you get to enjoy the fact that there's roads and street lights and garbage collection, and you could use the public library. Imagine, though, every single time you have to get on the road, you have to pay a toll anyways. Oh, well, you do have to pay a toll a lot of, but most roads. Okay, so you want to use the good road, so you have to pay a toll. Or you want to use the bridge, you have to pay a toll. But imagine if you just wanted to eat and you were the one who gave 20%. You were paying into this Social Security, for 7 years, but you still have to pay to get it back. You don't get any of it. Well, yeah, so it's pretty bad. And it basically what it resulted in, aside from the fact that there's incredibly high taxation, and then people had to pay just to live, what it resulted in? They were basically selling their shirts off their back, right? They sold their very bodies. They sold themselves. They lost all their property, their animals, their houses, their land, and now they have to sell themselves. Now they're slaves. And then they're forced to live where the government tells them. You move them to cities. And by the way, that's what the top-down economic planners are trying to do now. Basically, population's too high, so we're just going to have everybody's going to live in a socialist utopia where you'll get a cubicle, you'll be in a gigantic apartment building in a 15-minute city, and you'll have a bunk bed and a cubicle, right? You hear what they're planning, and you'll eat bugs, and we'll find the most efficient food, and everybody will just be a Dilbert his entire life. At least Dilbert, I guess he had a house, and you only have to work in a cubicle. But now you'll be a Dilbert your entire life. So that's what they're trying to do. So it's kind of funny. Yosef is basically, is a precursor. What Yosef imposed on the Egyptians is a precursor for what they're trying to do. Whereas Moses represents, like I said, complete day-to-day reliance on God. Why? Because he forbade the people from saving up their food from one day to the next, except for Erev Shabbos to Shabbos. You get your food today, and if you save up some for tomorrow, God considers you as someone who disturbingly lacks faith. He finds your lack of faith disturbing. So that's pretty bad. So Moshe Rabbeinu had to tell people they had to learn to rely on God through their own efforts. No planning and no human overlord taking taxes or regulating commerce, right? The Moshe Rabbeinu system, Moshe Rabbeinu said, I technically the ruler of the Jews. I never took a donkey, never taxed them once in my life, never asked them for anything, never made them pay for anything, right? So yes, and lo and behold, what's the point of the Moshe Rabbeinu lifestyle? To teach a whole class of slaves to what? Millions of people, millions, to become a free people in their own land. Okay. By the way, it's not by like they say in Hatikva, Liotam Chofshi be'artzenu, and they say Chofshi. Okay, Liotam Chofshi be'artzenu. Everything is mil el in that song, the secular Israeli national anthem, which offends everybody. It's only a national anthem if you're Ashkenazic, secular, and I guess decently wealthy and slightly socialist. Other than that, for all the other Jews who do not fit into that small category, they call WASP, white white Ashkenazi secular protexia, the national anthem doesn't describe you or any of your ideals or your longings or your hopes or anything like that, right? Right. So the point of what Moshe Rabbeinu was teaching them is how to be true free men and God-fearing men. Whereas what Yosef imposed on the Egyptians was the type of thing that would make people godless, disconnected, controlled slaves. So that's a problem. So we do not want to do any of these things that people are suggesting only because we've seen through history that that's the result.